Welcome to The Explainer. Sometimes the best way to understand an ancient idea is with a totally modern metaphor. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to dive into this deep, profound Buddhist text about what a Buddha really is by thinking of it as a kind of cosmic operating system. So let's get ready to decode some cosmic code. So, where do we even start? Well, this whole thing kicks off with a really fundamental question. You've got these bodhisattvas, right? These are like the super advanced spiritual practitioners. Think of them as the ultimate power users of reality. But even they hit a wall. They looked at a Buddha, a fully awakened being, and they just couldn't compute. It didn't make sense. The way a Buddha operates, their very being, was totally, utterly inconceivable to them. And this is exactly where that operating system metaphor becomes so powerful. See, the text is saying the difference isn't just about being a better user. It's a completely different category. A bodhisattva, no matter how good they get, is still just an expert user within the system. But a Buddha is the operating system. They're not just following the rules of reality. They are the rules. They're the source code, the CPU, the whole network, the entire shebang. All right, so let's dig into that. Let's make that leap from thinking like an operator to understanding the OS itself. Okay, and here's the really cool part. How does the Buddha answer their question? He doesn't give them some long, complicated lecture. No. Instead, he basically gives them an admin-level permissions upgrade. It's like he types in a cheat code, and suddenly they can see reality from his perspective. They get to see the source code directly. So the inconceivable part isn't really explained. It just disappears once your access level is high enough to see what's really going on. So now that we've got our admin access, what does this cosmic OS actually do? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the feature list. First thing you notice is that a Buddha isn't just one thing. It's more like a parallel processing system, running multiple functions all at once. For one, it's eternally online. It never crashes, never needs a reboot. It's always running this background process of continuous altruism. It interacts with the world using both physical and mental drivers, kind of like hardware and software. And get this, it has a universal broadcast feature that can send a signal to every single point in the entire system all at the same time. And all of this is built on the core logic layer of reality itself. So how does a system like this get its information? Well, it's got an infinite input interface. The text talks about having countless eyes and ears, but it's not talking about actual physical organs. You got to think of them more like perceptual ports. Ports that can take in an unlimited stream of visual data, receive full spectrum information, and maintain this global awareness of every single thing happening everywhere in the system all at the same time. The bandwidth is just infinite. All right, hold on, because this is where things get really, really wild. This cosmic OS doesn't just work within the laws of physics. It actually writes the code for time and space themselves. You know how we think of time as a straight line, right? Past, present, future. Well, for this OS, that's not how it works at all. It's more like all the frames of a movie being rendered at the same time. Past, present, and future can all be accessed in parallel. The past isn't lost, the future isn't some unknown thing. They're all just data points in the system's memory, totally accessible, right now. And this one quote from the text just nails it. It's not poetry, it's practically a technical manual. It says that a single moment of awareness, just one thought, isn't just watching the world go by. No way. That thought is the processing engine that's generating the entire simulation of reality. Consciousness isn't the audience, it's the projector. And it's the same deal with space. It's not this fixed, rigid grid we imagine it to be. The text says it's foldable. Like you can take a piece of paper and fold it so two faraway points touch. That's what this is like. It means one single spot can literally contain every world. One body can show up as an infinite number of bodies all over the network. In this system, location is just another variable you can change. It's totally wild. Okay, so if the system can do all that, what are its core functions? What's in the API library? Let's take a quick look at the source code, at some of the main modules. So the text lays out a bunch of these modules. For example, there's one that's basically a perfect event trigger engine. It makes sure every single action happens at the exact right time, not a microsecond too early or too late. Then there's another that's like a total domain execution function. What that means is there is no outside of the system. It covers everything. There's also a generative AI, you could say, that creates brand new solutions out of pure potential, out of what the text calls emptiness. And then, maybe the most amazing one is this dynamic algorithm that customizes its approach for every single being in the system. It's like a perfectly tailored user experience for everyone, all the time. Look, I get it. This all sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, super abstract and out there. But here's the thing. The text doesn't just dump all this theory on us and walk away. It actually gives us a user guide, a practical manual for how we can apply these same principles to upgrade our own personal operating systems.
And that's the real takeaway here, right? These aren't just philosophical ideas, they're actual, actionable upgrades. We can start right now by trying to get a system view, looking for the patterns and rules behind things instead of just reacting to whatever happens. We can train that one thought ability just by practicing focus. We can start to see emptiness not as nothing, but as pure creative potential. It's about getting more sensitive to cause and effect, looking at problems from all sides, and really thinking about what positive impact we're having. It's all about becoming a more aware, more dynamic, and a more effective operator in our own reality.
So, all of this leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If our own consciousness is part of this reality-generating engine, then what's our role? Are we just sitting in the audience, passively watching and explaining the world as it unfolds? Or are we ready to wake up and realize that we're actively participating in creating it with every single thought, every single moment?